Hey guys, Sam here with Garrett Tactics for once again another Legion review, and today we're going to conduct a review of the Imperium's friendliest Legion, the Salamanders. So why do I think they're the friendliest Legion? Well, in the fluff, they were always the ones that put human life before their own, and they were always quick to make a decision about the cost of human life when going into actions, and that sort of became a statement of their character, along with the fact that they love big hammers and they love fire. So how is this represented in the rules? Well, the Salamanders have the Strength of Will special rule. Okay, this means all units with that special rule, the Legion Astartes Salamanders, have the ability to automatically pass Fear Test, and they get to reroll a single D6 when taking morale checks. This is really strong. In terms of morale capabilities, this is up there with the Word Bearers. And the fact that they just completely ignore fear means that a lot of legions and their special abilities are just completely mute against this army. Yeah, that's a really strong ability. Okay, so next up we have Promethean Gift. And this essentially means that all hand flamers and heavy flamers used by Legionaries Astartes Salamanders have +1 strength. So you want heavy assault, heavy flamers from your heavy support squads? Strength 6, wounding on 2s, happy days. Normal flamers, wounding on 3s, excellent. Even better, this applies to all vehicles that are taken in a unit with the Legion, with models with this special rule. So, all of a sudden, strength 6 flamers on tanks, yes please. Really strong, really thematic, and really fluffy. Further to that, then we have Nocturne Born. All units with Legion Astartes Salamander special rule do not add their initiative score by their super advanced rolls and reduce their randomly rolled run and charge distances by -1 to a minimum of 1. Yeah, so with all these trade-offs, they do have a downside. I haven't seen it necessarily come up too often when I've seen people play Salamanders, because they generally tend not to go into that sort of play style where this would become an issue. But, you know, those are some strong rules. People say that some Salamanders are actually quite weak. I'd say if utilised correctly, i.e. the way they're designed to, I think there's no reason why they can't be a contender with any other Legion. But it sort of comes down to their right of war, which we'll discuss in a minute. Something I forgot to add about Promethean Gift, it also means that all Flamer type attacks against Salamanders are at -1 strength, which means a Salamanders player does not want to play another Salamanders player. And some units that like to use flame-based attacks, like Word Bearers, for example, in their Ashen Circle, now hitting at strength 2, which means 6s to wound. They're very strong against another army that likes to be up close and personal with their flamers. Okay, next up, we have the Legion-specific wargear. However, before we get into that, we have a unique rule only to the Salamanders, and that is this disdain of the Dark Age. And it essentially means that Moritats and Destroy units may not be used in a Salamander's Legion primary detachment, nor may any Phosphex weapons. Because like I said, yeah, these were the good guys. They're the ones that would follow the Geneva Convention if they were around nowadays. So they absolutely do not use Phosphex. They would not use any dirty bombs. And from a gameplay perspective, that makes it kind of annoying, because you can't take Phosphex, but all the other Legions can, and you can just get Phosphex off the board. There's nothing you can really do to counter that. Bit frustrating, but I get why they did it, representing that good guy aesthetic. Okay, so moving on, we go into the wargear then. Okay, and we have Artificer weapons. Okay, and all models, or all characters, with the Legion Astartes special rule, including sergeants, etc., may apply the Mastercraft special rule to a single weapon they possess for +5 points. Yeah, really strong. Want a Mastercrafted plasma pistol so you don't roll that 1 and then kill yourself? Go for it. Okay, free reroll, and almost guarantee that hit. Hey, want a Mastercrafted Thunderhammer because it's thematic? Go for it. Yeah, really cool rule. I think it really works. And I would expect this for the Salamanders. That's what they're all about. Here, next up we have the Dragon Scale Storm Shield. Now, one's close to my heart simply because I play Imperial Fists, and Imperial Fists have Storm Shields. Yeah, so this one works slightly different to the one that the Imperial Fists get, and this adds +1 to your invuln save. So there's no 3-up invuln Tartarus Terminators floating around in the Salamanders. The only way to get that sweet 3-up is by taking Cataphractii Army. A little bit more balanced, but as a caveat to it, they can take it on command squads, and Imperial Fists can't. They can take it on anyone that's equipped in Terminator armor, which is really strong. And or they can take it by anyone with an independent character. They have swings and roundabouts and it's really good to see. However, I would like it if Imperial Fist command squads in Terminator armor could take a Storm Shield. But, as we're waiting for at least 2 years for another FAQ, I don't think we're going to see it anytime soon. Then again, at the time of filming this, there are lots of rumours about Heresy 2.0, so maybe that'll, brighten our days, who knows. Coming up next, we have the Mantle of the Elder Drake. Okay, and this is additional wargear option for a Praetor only, and costs 20 points. Okay, and the model gains the Eternal Warrior special rule. Now, those of you Heresy aficionados amongst us, I don't have to tell you how strong this is. 20 points to make a simple Praetor, with, if you've armed him correctly, 7 attacks with a Paragon Blade, Eternal Warrior. All of a sudden, he's going up against the greats. He's able to fight Khan, he's able to fight, Sevatar potentially. Maybe not Sigismund. Sigismund also has Eternal Warrior, and Sigismund will definitely probably punch your face in. However, it's a really good upgrade, and I'd encourage most Salamanders players to take it on one Praetor at least. And then finally we have the Purging Flame, and that essentially means that any heavy bolters or twin-link heavy bolters in a Salamander's Legion detachment may exchange for heavy flamers or / twin-linked heavy flamers, respectively, at no cost. This means, further to that, we can swap a plasma pistol for an infernal pistol at the same cost given in any list entry. Yeah, this is really strong. I always thought it'd be really cool to see a Sicarian with 3 heavy flamers and a pintle-mounted heavy flamer floating around, just driving into our lines and putting out all that amount of templates. Okay, I've been told by a friend of mine who plays Salamanders it's not that effective, and as cool as it looks, you just end up dying. But I think there's merit in it. Being able to use strength 6 heavy flamer jet bikes would probably be a good way to run them, or maybe the running them on javelin speeders might be effective. I don't know. I don't actually play Salamanders. However, I made sure I asked all the Salamander players I did know before making this video, so I could get every single sort of hint, trick, and tip that they could come up with. Yeah, and that's what we've brought to you today. Coming up next, we have the unique Warlord traits, and the first one we're going to talk about is the Covenant of Fire. Now, this is a Warlord trait with its bonuses, but it has so many drawbacks, and I think it suffers from what's commonly known now as First Legion Syndrome. Okay, and this is what essentially this means is it was the Salamanders one of the first legions to get rules. Okay, and they've now struggled to keep up with the more modern legions due to the sort of rules creep that has encroached in as we've gone or progressed through the heresy. Okay, so let's look at it then. What do we get? So the effects then: Obsidian Forged, all Salamander vehicles. Any vehicle with an armor value taking part of the detachment uses right 4 has a 5+ invulnerable save against melter, volkite, plasma, and flame weapons of all types, and also against melter bombs. Okay, the melter bombs is really good because it happens all the time. You get stealth charged by like a random squad that's coming from outflank, or you've just not seen how close they were, and they've just charged your prize Spartan and popped it with melter bombs, because melter bombs don't, armored samurai doesn't protect you from melter bombs, and melter bombs just push all the way through. But now you get a 5+ invuln. Nice. I've never seen it used against volkite, plasma, and flamer weapons. Sometimes against melter, but melter's only strength 8, and if it's worth killing, it's probably got armored ceramite. So next effect then, all melter guns, inferno pistols, and multi-melters in the detachment using this rite of war have the Mastercraft special rule. Pyroclasts may be chosen as non-compulsory troop choices for a detachment using this rite of war. So Pyroclast we'll talk about in a bit when we go through the units. But yeah, that's really strong. All melter guns, infernal pistols, and multi-melters gain Mastercrafted special rule, which is awesome. A cheeky multi-melter on top of a Land Raider, Mastercrafted, happy days. Okay, Implacable. All units in detachment using this rite of war gain the Move Through Cover special rule. So when we talk about the drawbacks of this army, having Move Through Cover makes you actually quite speedy in comparison to not having it. Especially if you're if you think about the Salamanders' specific Legion traits where they've got to -1 to their run. Okay, limitations then. Detached users right of war may not deploy models using the Deep Strike special rule, and units which must deploy this way can therefore not be chosen as part of attachment. And this is what comes back to the First Legion Syndrome. This is a massive drawback. Happens again with Stone Gauntlet. It's not so bad with that because we just stuff everything in vehicles and we're tough as nails. However, the Salamanders really struggle because they haven't got any reliable way to get their models across the board nice and effectively outside of Spartans, Land Raiders, etc. Okay, detachments using this Rite of War cannot take more heavily support squad and fast attack choices in total than they have troop choices in the detachment. So, for example, a detachment with 3 troops choices could take 3 choices made up of fast attack or heavy support, or a combination of the two. Yeah, again, another drawback, massive drawback. It almost sort of puts me off if I was building an army list, taking this Rite of War, because the benefits don't outweigh the drawbacks or even level. The drawbacks are far too much at the moment. And the third one then, detachments using this Rite of War may not take fortification detachments. Not too much of a drama. Most Legion Rites of War do not let you take a fortification. And with the exception of Legion Champion type, detachments using this Rite of War may only take a single Cult Soul. So there we go, there's 3 drawbacks there for essentially 2 bonuses, because the move to recover isn't really that much of a big difference. So 3 drawbacks for 2 bonuses, and they're situational. You know, you get a 5+ invuln against certain weapon types on vehicles, and you get multi-melters. So you get mastercrafted multi-melters and melters, and it's just not worth it for what it makes you do. So yeah, on the whole, I would say that was a pretty poop Rite of War. I get if you want to take it for fluff reasons, absolutely. If you're doing it for sort of a tactical advantage, I'd give that one a miss. Okay, the next Rite of War then is the Awakening Fire. And already off the bat, I can see that outside of fluff situations, you're never going to take this Rite of War. Again, it brings nothing to the table that you really need. So, you know, I think personally, just playing Salamanders without any Rites of War outside of, you know, maybe Pride of the Legion or some of the generic ones from the book, you know, you just want to be playing no Rite of War. But definitely not the specific ones, as they massively hamper you. So let's talk about the effects then. So, Devils from the Dark. Infantry models and a primary detachment using this Rite of War that have the Legion of Astartes Salamanders cause fear. Yeah, okay, not too bad, but remember, you're not the only Legion that ignores fear, so sometimes that rule can be immediately shot down, especially if you're playing like Custards, or, you know, you're playing, I think it's Death Guard ignore fear as well, so if you're playing against Death Guard, this rule is completely wasted. Next effect then is Unto Flames. In missions that make up the random game length scenario, the special rule, the Salamanders may declare that the game played for one more turn. Okay, it's not great, it's not terrible, but I don't think it's worth taking this Rite of War to get that random rule. You know, I don't think it really brings much to the game. Okay, and Fury of the Salamanders. Librarians, their primary detachment using this Rite of War have access to the Fury of the Salamander's psychic power. This counts as a pyromancy power, and may be chosen instead of Flame Breath as an alternative Primaris power, so long as the librarian meets the requirement for the psychic focus special rule. Okay, I can tell you now, it's Warp Charge free, Strength 5, AP 1, Assault 1, and Elemental Horror, and you must take morale checks no matter how many casualties are caused. It's naff. Why would you ever take it? You know, just, you know, roll on either Divination for Prescience or Biomancy for Iron Arm and Smite. And Smite's way better than this and doesn't cost 1 Warp Charge, not 3. Yeah, all in all, a naff Rite of War. I can see an argument to be taken if you want to play like a, you know, I mean, I haven't even gone through the limitations here, sorry. So a primary detachment making up this Rite of War must include Legion Chaplain. Yeah, cool. Primary detachment may include no more than 1 of each following infantry: jet bikes, skimmers, and flyers. So there goes my jet bikes are heavy flamers idea. Okay, the army may not include the Primarch Vulkan. So I'm guessing this is supposed to be a post-Istvan or, you know, the Hunt for Vulkan sort of force. Okay, and the army may not take a fortification detachment or an allied detachment. So yeah, a naff Rite of War. Don't go for it. Next up, we're going to go into units, and I actually think the Salamanders have some really strong units. You know, I definitely think they're the coolest looking models for Loyalist Legionaries Astartes. Not traitors. You know, I still think Galvorback trump all, and maybe Linear Terminators. The Alpha Legion specific Terminators are very, very nice models. Okay, and the first one we're going to go with is the Pyroclast squad. So what do we get for 160 points for 5 guys? Well, you get the normal stats of a Space Marine squad, except they have Artificer armor, so already 2+ save. Happy days. Okay, they have a Pyroclast flame projector. We'll go on about that in a minute. They have a combat blade, and they have flag and crack grenades. So normal jogging. Okay, they also have the Legion started Salamander special rule, and the Mantle of Ash. Okay, so the Mantle of Ash then is a finely wrought Artificer plate worn by Pyroclast. Okay, and it gives them their Artificer armor. Okay, an invulnerable save of 5+ against all weapons defined as flamers, plasma weapons, melt weapons, and Volkites. Yeah, so similar to the one on the vehicles. However, this one actually will see play because it's 2+ armor save, so it's an absolute delight target for plasma weapons and melter weapons. Okay, and you're going to get a 5 invuln against that, so you don't care too much. You've got a little bit more resilience. Okay, so their Pyroclast Flame Projector then has 2 different firing modes. Happy days. You've got template weapon, and it basically becomes a flamer. Remember, Salamanders flamers are at strength 5, so strength 5 AP5 assault 1 template, or you can do focus firing, which becomes a strength 6 range 6 melter weapon. Okay, still not too bad for picking off Terminators. Get these guys out of a Land Raider, and you can absolutely rain fire down on a squad of Terminators, and they will take it and die, because that's what Terminators do to AP 1 and 2 weapons. Finally, they can take a Land Raider Phobos or a Land Raider Proteus as a dedicated transport. So yeah, if you were taking that Rite of War in which you were severely limited on what you could take, it's a nice way to get that extra heavy support slot in, and some anti-tank firepower, and a pretty beefy transport combined with a 5+ invuln against some anti-tank weaponry. Overall, not a bad unit. Personally, I'd like to see them, if they were to update the rules, give them a strength 6 flamer. So they were wounding on 2s and really making the best of that, that special rule Salamanders get. And I wouldn't mind the Melter being strength 8, but you can't wish for everything, I guess. But yeah, they're definitely I should point out they're also going heavy support slot, which is a highly contested area. Okay, so again, that Rite of War, we make them non-compulsory troop choices. It's not the worst thing you could do. But most players tend to take these simply for the fluff reason, and they're really cool to see on the board, and they do surprise a lot of opponents if not dealt with correctly. Next up, we have the second coolest Terminators in the Horus Heresy, and that's the Fire Drake Terminator Squad. Okay, so what do we get for a 275 point model, 275 point unit with 5 models? Well, we get weapon skill 5. Okay, we get 2 wounds a pop, nice. Okay, and then we get the usual tropes that you would experience in Terminators. Okay, the standard wargear they come with as stock is combi bolters and a power weapon, and a mastery craft power weapon on the Fire Drake Master, which is their sergeant. Where they really come into their element, they have implacable advance, so scoring, which is awesome. Yeah, they have Favourite of Vulkan, which is maybe taken as a command squad for either a Praetor or Vulkan himself, also awesome. Okay, and then they can exchange their weapons for a Mastercrafted Thunderhammer, a Power Fist, etc. Okay, and then a Dragon Scale pattern Storm Shield. So you can have the 40k Terminators of old, 7th edition that everyone used to love, with 3 up invulnerable saves and Thunderhammers. Okay, and it really suits this unit. This unit is incredibly tough. I would say probably a lot tougher than anything the Imperial Fist can knock out with a Storm Shield. Though they do get a toughness 5 in their certain Rite of War, and that means that it takes it's a lot harder to get through their toughness 5. These guys can still be doubled out with a Strength 8 Power Fist, but they're still, in terms of small arms firepower going into them, they take a ridiculous amount of firepower. I've seen a full 20-man tactical squad, Fury of the Legion, in rapid fire range, go into a 5-man squad of Fire Drakes, okay, and still one was left standing. That's ridiculous. And, it's really good. I really love them as a staple unit for Salamanders players. I think they fit everything the Salamanders stand for. Okay, the Mastercrafted Thunderhammers, okay, the 3-up invulnerables in the Storm Shields, and just the versatility and the stoic defense that they can put out. Really good unit, okay, and I definitely recommend for any Salamanders player or anyone looking to start Salamanders in the future. I probably haven't said this on this stream yet, or rather this review, but if I was going to do another Legion, it would probably be with Salamanders. And I can tell you that just by constantly reading this, it makes me want to play them more and more. Next up, we're going to look at the characters you can get. Now, unfortunately, Forge World, in their infinite wisdom, has decided not to make any of the characters apart from Vulkan for the Salamanders so far, which is a real shame to see, because they, I reckon, would be some of the most beautiful sculpted characters going. Okay, yeah, they have sort of made Cassian Dracos, though it was actually Byron Ashmantle that they made, and they've just renamed him Cassian Dracos, so that they could say that they put out a character, which is, you know, lazy, but I'm not really surprised with Forge World these days. It's the sort of thing I expect them to do because, you know, mo money, mo problems, and all that. So speaking of Cassian Dracos, he's the first one we're going to look at. So he is a dreadnought. He was the first commander of the Salamanders, and he was mortally wounded by the Orcs, so Vulkan personally built him a suit of dreadnought armour for him to go into. Okay, so he is weapon skill 6, ballistic skill 5. Okay, for a dreadnought, even though he's supposed to be a Castropharon dreadnought, which is a box naught, he's front armour 14, side armour 12, and rear 10. Initiative 4, attacks 4, and 4 hull points. Okay, and if he's your warlord, his warlord trait is you can't score the warlord, the secondary objective for slay the warlord against him. Okay, further to that, all models in the Legion detachment of Salamanders with 3 inches of him gain the Feel No Pain 5+ special rule. So he's a handy buff character, but he's got to be pretty close. Okay, he's got 2 dreadnought close combat weapons, each of which has an inbuilt heavy flamer. Okay, which means, you know, strength 6 heavy flamers coming out. He's got extra armor, smoke launchers, searchlight, and a Nuncio Vox. Nuncio Vox is quite cool if you wanted to drop down the bombs. So yeah, let's look at his special rules then. Okay, so he can use his 2 heavy flamers to be fired as individual or a single twin-linked melter gun. Okay, choice move at the beginning of the shooting phase, yeah, it's pretty cool. Can turn it into a melter shot, so he does have some anti-tank capability for charging in and wrecking face. Okay, wrought by Vulkan. Yeah, like I said, his tactical, or rather his suit of dreadnought armor is made specifically by Vulkan. Okay, it means he's immune to all the effects of Melter, Armor, Bane, Sunder, and Lance special rules, and any other rules which reduce or permanently degrade his armor value or allow attacks which target him to roll more than 1 dice to make an armor penetration roll that have no effect against him. Yeah, so even Melter bombs don't affect him, which is really cool. Okay, so trying to get through that front armor 14 is a tricky. Cassian Dracos, so Burning Wrath. Cassian Dracos may forfeit his usual close combat attacks in order to inflict 1 automatic strength 6 AP4 hit on every model, friend and foe, in base contact him at initiative step 1. Yeah, so he can deal with hordes, though outside of playing Solar Auxilia, you probably won't charge him with hordes. You'll probably want to fight him with Power Fists or something, because that's the only way I think you'd bring him down. Or shoot him from afar. Okay, the last Warlord then. Okay, yeah, all this means is if he is the only HQ choice, then he automatically becomes the Warlord, even if, you know, why wouldn't he be your Warlord? You know, HQ choice has to be your Warlord. Cool. So that's him for Cassian Dracos. However, he is unique in that he has 2 profiles in the Heresy, because he's got Cassian Dracos normally and then Cassian Dracos Reborn, which is the Cassian Dracos rule set for after the events of Istvan 5. So we're going to look at that next. So Cassian Dracos Reborn then, say he becomes 295 points. I don't think I mentioned how much he cost before. So he was 275 points before, so it's only a 20-point difference, which is, so 20 points. So what do you get for that extra 20 points then? Well, nothing changes to his stats, still the same stats, front armor 14, weapon skill 6, etc, etc. He now gets It Will Not Die, so he's going to gain a whole point back on a 5+. Okay, and he gets the Voice of the Machine, which means he can use a Cybertheurgy power, which, you get from the Mechanicum. He can only use 1 power per turn, and he can only, and he does it on leadership of a 7, and he can only use the following power, which is the right of Redication. There we go, Redication. I can't pronounce things. The chosen target model must be an enemy model. The chosen model's control player and Cassian Dracos player roll off, and the player who has the greatest current wounds adds 1 to their score. If the player controlling Cassian Dracos Reborn was to roll off, he may immediately make a single shooting attack with chosen models if it was their own army. Cool, so you can control the opponent's models, which is quite cool. And that's essentially it. That's what you get for the extra 20 points. You get the It Will Not Die, and you get your Voice of the Machine. So not actually sure if that's worth the extra 20 points, but if you wanted to play a fluffy game in which you were playing the events after Istvan, then absolutely go for it. Coming up next in the character series, we have Lord Chaplain Nomus Rytan. And I think this guy, personally, would be one of the character series I'd most like to see a model of. Now, he's 215 points, and what do we get for that? Well, we get Weapon Skill 6, Ballistic Skill 4, not really that much of a drama. Okay, Wounds 3, Strength 4, Toughness 4, Initiative 5, Attacks 3, Leadership 10, 2+ save. Okay, he's got Artificer Armour. there's a 2+ save. Iron Halo, 4+ invulnerable, happy days. Frag and Crack Grenades, the Dark Star Falling, a Combi Flamer, Bolt Pistol, and Mantle of the Elder Drake. So he's already Eternal Warrior, okay, hence the 215 point cost. So he's already up there fighting sort of some of the high-end characters because of that Eternal Warrior. Okay, so what is the Dark Star Fallen? It's a Strength +2, AP2, Melee, Armor Bane, Concussive, two-handed Mace. This guy is a chaplain, so special rules are Independent Character, Zealot, Legion Astartes, Salamanders, Master Legion, and Keeper of the Keys. So he's a Zealot, so he's re-rolling all his hits. He's effectively Strength 6, AP2 at initiative in combat. He's an Eternal Warrior. This guy is an awesome character. Yeah, he's only got 3 attacks. However, on a charge, that's 4. But you're taking him in a unit of nasty anyway. So you're not necessarily using for his own attack. You're using him as a buffer. So that Zealot is crucial. Okay, so Keeper of the Keys. So Nomus Rytan carried the Sacred Charge of Warden of Prometheus at the outbreak of Horus Heresy and dual roles as Spiritual Instructor to Legion, Initiates, and a Watcher. So those of you who haven't read the novels, he was first found in, I believe it's Promethean Sun, when they get to Nocturne, and he's there training the recruits for Salamanders. Okay, if Nomus Rytan is part of a Space Marine Legion force of any type, then a Signal Dreadnought talent may be taken as a non-compulsory HQ selection in that force. These Dreadnoughts may not be the force's warlord. Really cool. I always like extra Dreadnoughts in Legion forces, and you can take a free, or no, it's not free, you've got to pay for them, but you can take an additional set of Dreadnoughts in a non-HQ slot, which is non-compulsory HQ slot, which is really cool. You know, if you didn't know what, you had Nomus Rytan, don't need a chaplain. Okay, maybe you want to take a support character like a Master of Signal, and then third one, boom, you've got a talent of 3 Dreadnoughts. Deal with it. Really cool. Okay, one of my, I'd say one of my favourite characters in Heresy, simply because I think what he's about is quite cool. How he's written the rules is quite cool, and I've never actually seen someone use him before, or even seen a model someone's converted him. So if you have, please please show us in the comments. I'd love to see your converted Nomus Rytan, and I'd love to see if you have used him, how he performs. On paper, he sounds like he should be awesome. However, what actually translates onto the battlefield is a different story. Okay, and that takes us up to the big guy himself, Vulkan. Now, Vulkan clocks in at 425 points, which is actually quite cheap for Primarchs, Primarchs usually sort of teeter towards the 500 point mark. Some of the cheaper ones, like Lorgarb, when he's not transfigured, Dawn, are sort of minus 400. But yeah, 425 points, I'd say, was pretty roundly costed for what he does. Well, let's look at his stats, because he's a little bit tougher than a normal Primarch. So he has Weapon Skill 7, Ballistic Skill 5, Strength 7, Toughness 7, 6 wounds, Initiative 5, 4 attacks, Leadership 10, and a 2+ save. So already, he's an absolute beast. Toughness 7 should not be sniffed at. That means that most Primarchs, the people like Kurz, where they hit at Strength 6, means they're wounding him on 5s, and then they've still got to get through his, whatever invuln save he produces, which I believe is a 3-up, but we'll find out in a minute. Okay, so he wears the Draken's Scale. Now, what does that give us? So Vulkan's armor was a marvel of the Imperium and a famed relic in its own right. Okay, and it provides Vulkan with a 2+ armor save and a 3+ invuln save, and halves the strength for rounding down of any flamer, fusion, Volkite, melter, or plasma weapons used against him. So you can't plasma him off the board. You can't just sneak a 10-man plasma squad or 10-man seeker squad with combi plas in a drill up behind him and go surprise, because all of a sudden that's wounding him on 6s, not 2. It'd be 4s, but it's wounding him on 2s now, not 4s. So that's ridiculously tough, and the 3-up invuln, you ain't getting through that anytime soon. Okay, what's he armed with? Well, he's got Dawnbringer, and Dawnbringer is incredibly famous. His two-handed warhammer that is Strength 10, AP 1, Concussive, Armor Bane, Instant Death, Earth Shatter. Okay, 4 attacks, 5 on the charge. Okay, you don't need that many attacks. 5 attacks are enough. You're punching holes through vehicles with this thing, no dramas. Okay, you're punching holes through custodians, demons, anything with this. It's disgusting. It's awesome. I love it. Okay, so Earth Shatter special rule. Instead of attacking normally assault, Vulkan may instead opt to place the 3-inch blast marker anywhere in base-to-base contact does not cover any friend models. All models under that marker suffer a single automatic strength 8 AP3 hit with a strike down special rule. So yeah, so you can turn his attack into a small blast and just wipe Marines off the board. Excellent. So what's he got in the way of a ranged weapon then? Well, he's got the Furnace's Heart, which is range 18, strength 6 AP2, assault 1, rending, and line of effect. So this works very much like what's it called? Not the fell blade, the glaive. That's it, the glaive, where basically you draw a line between him and the target unit, and anything underneath there is also going to get hit. And so strength 6 AP2, you could, if placed correctly, get quite a few models underneath there, and strength 6 AP2 is going to be winning most things on 2s and killing most things because they haven't got a 2+, they haven't got an invuln save. Really good. So what does he do as a buff character then? Because he's got Sire of the Salamanders, as all Primarchs do for their respective legions. Okay, and as in an army which contains the Primarch Vulkan, all models with the Legion Starter Salamanders gain +1 leadership to a maximum 10, or also gain the Adamantium Will special rule. So I would say that's not as good as some other Primarchs. I'd say this guy's more of a combat monster, or rather resilient monster, because he doesn't deal that much output damage, but he can soak up a lot of damage that he can stay in the fight for quite a while. Okay, +1 leadership, awesome, because it means that your Centurions are leadership 10, which is really handy. Your Sergeants leadership 10, and when you think about the Legion Astartes Salamander special rule where they re-roll a single d6, it means that it just makes them even more likely less to run away. Sorry, makes them less likely to run away, more likely. Yeah, ignore what I said there. Yeah, it's really good. However, he's not. I wouldn't say he was up there as a buff character, because these are pretty minimal in terms of the rules that other Legion Primarchs give to their legions. Finally, we have his last rule, which is Blood of Fire. Vulkan's power of endurance are, and above all, were phenomenal. Okay, even for a Primarch. As a result, he may re-roll any failed it will not die or deny the witch tests. Yeah, re-rolling failed it will not die rolls is awesome. Okay, and I've seen him come back and gain a wound. It's just, you think you've got him down to 1 wound, boom, he's got a 2nd wound, and third turn, just because they were lucky, back up to 3 wounds. And each time you've got to chew through that 3+ invuln save. He is just not going down anytime soon, and he's absolute beast. I love watching this guy in combat. I love watching him on the field. I think he's a beautiful model from Forge World, and I think he sort of personifies everything the Salamanders is about. One slight criticism though, he's supposed to be the master artisan. He's supposed to be amazing at blacksmithing. Okay, and he doesn't have a master crafted. His Dawnbringer is not master crafted. Maybe that's an overlook by Forge World. Maybe they were like, well, he's got all these other special rules. He doesn't need a mastercraft weapon. But if the basic Legion Sergeants can have a mastercrafted Thunderhammer, why can't Vulkan? How hard would it have been? If you're going to go fluffy, then go all the way. Don't just pick and choose. Minor gripe though, and I'd probably say he should have more attacks. 4 is a bit flimsy. Then again, he is strength 10 on initiative. So make of that what you will. Okay, that takes us to the end of the Salamanders Legion review then. So what do I think overall? Well, I think they've got some good strong points. Okay, they've got some weak points. Like we said, they suffer from that sort of first Legion syndrome, where because they were one of the first legions with rules written, okay, they don't really stand up to the modern day Legion rules. They don't get as much in-depth look. They don't get as any cool nuances. Look at Dark Angels. They got a ridiculous amount of rules in the last book. It just doesn't make any sense. Then again, so did Thousand Suns, and again, these were all legions that came out in the last 4 years, as opposed to nearly 10 years ago. So, make it what it will. What would I think could change? Well, I think that Rite of War, removing the deep strike element, probably be a good idea. If you're going to put that many limitations on it, remove that deep strike so you can get at least termite drills popping out with guys with strength 5 flamers, or strength 6 heavy support squads with the heavy flamers. I think that would be quite cool. I think remove the limitations on the running, etc., and the initiative. Maybe add it so they add half their initiative, or they roll a dice and add half of that to their sweeping advance rolls. And for God's sakes, Forge World, give us some characters. Actually make the characters. Nomus Rytan would be awesome. So would a proper Cassian Dracos. You know, these Salamanders players have to deal with converting, which is fine. That's part of the hobby, but it wouldn't go amiss. You know, you've just released Malagars the Twisted. No one was really asking for him. Great model, don't get me wrong, but no one was really asking for him. You know, Sons of Horus have Abaddon, they have Loken. They did not need Malaghurst, and yet Salamanders have nobody. You know, they suffer from the same drama as their Iron Hands. Cool. Well, anyway, that wraps up another Legion review. Please like, share, and subscribe if you did like this video. If not, tell us what we could do to do better in the comments, please. Okay, and as always, this was Garage Hammer Tactics, and we'll see you in the next video.